Hello, everyone. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to our virtual roundtable series. We're super excited to be here today. As a note for all attendees, please note that you'll have your cameras and microphones off during the session. However, if you want to join us in our talk, you'll be given the opportunity to do so via our Q&A. We will be using the question and answer tool located at the bottom of your screen. Today's topic is the RemTECH Awards 2020. Welcome, Olivia, Chow, cross-border consultant and co-chair of the RemTECH Awards. And also welcome Hugo Cuevas-Mohr, director of the Platinum Network. Thank you for joining us. Let's jump straight away to our main topic. I'll start with you, Olivia.
Hi, thank you for the introduction, Fernando. Yeah, I am co-chair of the RemTECH Awards. Thank you all for tuning in. That must mean, you've been getting my emails talking about the different trends and what's going on. And we want to take the opportunity just to give a more in-depth idea of what the RemTECH Awards is about and why it matters and where it's been and where we're trying to go with it, as well as, giving some announcements for RemTECH 2020, which you have to stay tuned for our whole roundtable to learn more about. And yeah.
So yes, Olivia, thank you. So good morning, everyone. I'm Hugo Cuevas-Mohr. Most of you know me. We're very excited after this long journey, complex year. We were going to do the RemTECH Awards initially with the Global Forum of Remittances, Investment and Development in Nairobi with IFAD, and that was postponed. Then we started thinking, okay, where are we going with this? Because since we postponed some of our events, and we finally decided, okay, we'll do it in November with IMTC, our IMTC World 2020 event, which is going to be a virtual event, and this is where we are. I mean, it has been a complex year because of planning, but really it's been great in terms of the many entries that we have. Olivia has been able to manage all this year. We had to change some dates and et cetera, but we have a great response. I think we have probably more entries than ever, which is good. We're going to go a little bit into the history of the awards very fast and make some comments. We have two of the judges today with us. Sophia, welcome. Nice to see you. Enjoying yourself in the Alps. I don't know. That seems to be the Alps in New York City. And we have Nabil too, who is going to join us. So just let's go with it. Olivia, discuss a little bit what the awards have been. We say is the Remittance Innovation Awards, and really our biggest and what we want here is for all these companies that are doing this innovations in the industry, whether they're traditional companies, digital, fintechs, just come on forward and present your ideas, and just it's a work all of us together to elevate the innovation. And innovation is amazing. I mean, we were discussing with Olivia, and every year is like, what is this, So, okay, I'll let you go on, Olivia, and take us a little bit through our journey this 3 or 4 years that we've been promoting the RemTECH Awards.
Sure, yeah. We started in 2017, and actually I was not part of RemTECH at that point, but you invited me to the Global Forum in New York, and I think that might have been the first time we officially met, Hugo. And that was the first time, I guess, you were doing the awards. So remind me, what was your inspiration?
We really came up with the idea of doing the RemTECH Awards. I might not give credit to the colleagues who we discussed this first. And I've been trying to think, but it was a number of just talks we had in IMTC World in 2016. So we said, hey, let's do the RemTech awards. We came up with the domain and we started thinking about it. And then luckily, Pedro de Vasconcelos from IFAD heard what we were doing. I told him, and they said, we're going to do the Global Forum New York. You can have a place there to do the awards. And it was just not very, complex. It was just friends and colleagues helping each other. And I said, Pedro, great. I mean, just to be in the United Nations building and do the awards there. And of course, for me, it was a moment in my life. You enter the UN Nations building, and it was a beautiful event. And we had the awards. We had the judging panel. Some of the judges are still with us till today. So in a sense, what we do is just promote the awards, like what we're doing with you. And when you decided to come on board, Olivia, and do this, I mean, it became, of course, a work that we've been getting better and better at with the categories and all that. But the first one was like that. That
right.
picture you have there is really.
There's really that like private-public partnership, which is what the Global Forum seems to really be about in terms of how to serve migrants better through remittances. And so it seemed like an opportunity they wanted to spring on really seeing how they can highlight some of the efforts that we're doing, you representing more kind of the private sector, right?
Yeah, and that picture you have there in Times Square, where the RemTechs were presented, is real. We came up in that board, and they sent us that picture. So it was like, okay, we were in Times Square. Yeah, probably two seconds just to take the picture, but we use it because we're proud of it. And that's what happened. It went well. So the second year, IFAD again said, hey, we're going to do the Global Forum in Kuala Lumpur with the Asia GFRID. And that's where you came on board. And I mean, we had a great time presenting the awards in that beautiful Bank Negara in Malaysia auditorium. And it was beautiful event, very well managed, and that's where we presented the awards in 2018. And
we
then
also the blockchain voting that year, which was cool. That was when blockchain was, I mean, it's still getting a lot of attention, but I think 2018 was a big year where it went very mainstream. But there were a lot of people who were like, what is this? And I felt like being able to do the voting on blockchain kind of gave some idea of what was interesting about the technology, not just from a financial standpoint, but this idea of having a secured ledger. So I actually got a lot of good feedback on that, of getting people to actually get to engage with the technology in some way. And so, I think that kind of is further in line again with what we're trying to do. And then, so then we went to 2018, and that was, we were at a crossroads there in terms of whether we would do the RemTech Awards, because that year the UN was not doing their global forum. They decided to take a year off. And we decided to go ahead with it anyways. And it seems like we still got just as much participation from our entries. We were a bit concerned about that, people are only doing it for the UN, but it seems like, there's a strong demand that people want to be recognized for what they're doing, but also are interested in telling their fellow colleagues about what they're doing, so that, what IMTC is about over and over again, it's, connecting those dots, making those relationships, finding out what the right hand is doing in the left hand, how we all can work together to further get payments where they need to go.
Yeah, and we really extremely thankful for Pedro and his team at IFAD for letting us do the awards with them when they have the GFRID. So that year we decided let's just make it a yearly event. The year that is a GFRID, we go with them, providing they still they provide us a home, and that's what we did in 2019. And this year was the same thing. This year, of course, because the pandemic and the difficulty in planning, we were not sure. We had so many entries, and we just didn't want to tell all the entrants and the entrants that are listening to us today. We just didn't want to say, okay, we're going to do it in 2021, you know, and innovation doesn't wait. So that's why we decided to do it this year. And we have a great plan. Really, we're going to have 2 sessions, Monday the 16th and Tuesday the 17th, presenting all the nominees. And in Thursday, November 18th, we'll have the awards live. That means that the entrants will find out right there at that time, wherever they are in the world, they're going to find out that they received the awards. So the judges are working now, judging the entries. And so we have Nabil and Sophia here with us. And we're going to let the men first. Wow. Nabil, we want to hear you. You're going to be a judge this year. You've been a friend of IMTC for so long. So really, thank you for your support, for being with us, for helping us, for giving us advice. Let's hear Nabil tell us a little bit of few words about innovation, about the RemTECH Awards, about his role in the industry too. Nabil.
Sure, thank you, Hugo, and thank you for having me. It's an honor to be part of this group, and it's so great to see all these faces from many, many, many years. I don't think I had seen Sophia in maybe 15 or 18. It doesn't make us young, but she still looks the same, and so do all of you. Look, I'm very honored to join. I think, look, innovation is everywhere. Yesterday, because of COVID, I was at the restaurant ordering food, and now they don't take your order anymore. They have a barcode glued to the table. You scan it with your phone, the menu comes out, you order, and then they deliver the food to your table. So digitalization has taken over. Every step of our lives is being made better, more efficient, improved, and for the most part driven from your phone or at least your computer. So obviously for remittance and banking, this is big. And sometimes I feel that the industry has been a little bit behind when you look at every process in the world being digitized. I have a friend, for example, who owns a company that revolutionized how documents are scanned. They can read hand notes and they can classify an invoice by accounting category. So if you get a complicated invoice from your vendor, you scan it and it goes in on this advisory board. And so every little step of everything we do is being digitized, improved, recorded, and you can use the data later and you can parse it and create more value out of what's being done. So it's great that IMTC has chosen to create this award, because I think we need to promote as much as possible this type of innovation. Even the simplest things, sometimes an idea to change one step in a process or a little tweak to an improvement of an existing process can save billions and make things much more efficient, and frankly create unicorns sometimes, which are companies that exceed $1 billion in valuation, and they get there pretty quickly, as if you see from the stock market. So, and we've seen it. I mean, already when the early days of money transfer started, we called it electronic money transfer. It was a big revolution compared to banks, where it took sometimes weeks when I lived in Lebanon to receive remittance from the US, and you never knew where it was. And then, after that, obviously there's innovation that came through PayPal and others. And I thought this was done. When PayPal came out, I'm like, they're going to dominate electronic money transfer and that will be the end of it. And then we had Zoom and now Remitly and others that are coming up. And it's just an improved digitization of the money transfer process all the way to the consumer. And the innovations continue. So, who knows what the future will bring. And the only way to do it is really to kind of promote this creativity among people and reward and highlight innovation. So I commend you on this opportunity that you have. I love what we're doing, and I'm really excited about listening to and seeing all the submissions that are coming in and listening to the promoters of them.
Great. No, and you're an innovator too, Nabil. I mean, because he's a judge, you couldn't submit an entry, but you're doing great work in the reward space. I mean, I've been witness to that. We consulted, and really, what you're doing, bringing rewards to the industry, it is just great. And I just wanted to mention, because you are an innovator yourself. I mean, every step of the way since I met you years ago, you always been there, trying to do something different, do something interesting, moving forward. So for us to partner with you in this is just great, because you embody that. So thank you.
Totally agree. Would you want to tell us a little bit, maybe just one project you're working on?
Oh, well, I mean, look, like Hugo said, I believe this very strongly. If you don't cannibalize yourself and continuously improve your offering and create new things, you'll be cannibalized by the competition one day. Some smart person will come in and come up with a better mousetrap. And you can see how quickly business model have changed. If you remember MySpace, that dominated the social media, one of the first big ones, and completely disappeared off the surface of the planet. Napster, who disappeared, and now Spotify is dominating. So what we're doing is we're bringing rewards and payments in part to the remittance industry, because it's one of the actually last bastions of the industry that does not have a reward system. And as we know, there's very little loyalty by consumers and also by agents for those who use the agent network. And so they just always switch to the provider paying them more, or having some sort of advantage to give them. And we need to break the paradigm and create a way for brands to mean something to their customers, and to have something that goes beyond the commoditized, cheapest foreign exchange rate money transfer that you can find. And so that's an attempt at doing that. And we've created a digital wallet, we've created the reward platform, we've created an ecosystem of partners so that we can bring value to the space and try to create this loyalty and really save companies millions a year in churn, trying to constantly reacquire agents and reacquire customers instead of keeping them.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Nabil. Now, Sophia, it's you. I mean, since I met you, you've been one of these colleagues who, like Nabil, has been in one company, moves to another, and it's so really, it's so interesting to follow your career all along. And so you've been a judge before. And so I'm glad you're with us today. So tell us a little bit about your relationship with innovation, relationship with your awards, RemTECH, the judging process, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure, my pleasure, Hugo. And thank you for having me here. I really enjoy being a judge on RemTECH Awards, because I think it gives me a wonderful preview to what is happening in the world, in the remittance and payments world as a whole. The award is quite broad. I would say a lot of fintechs, they are maybe not directly providing service of payment, but they're also creating different additional value services for the payments. And when you reading through all of those innovation projects, evaluate them, you can kind of really see where the market moving, what is happening in the market, what is the newest trends, what are the biggest challenges now, how they could be addressed and resolved. And also what always on my mind when I'm reviewing those entries, I do see potential for certain partnership opportunities. I can see how one project can can build upon another, and how they can really, in a good way, take advantage of each other and build a holistic experience, which will bring incremental value for the payments that exist today. So I think the RemTECH work has a huge benefit, not only in terms of finding, the best innovation solutions, but in terms of opening the door for innovation and partnership and in new trends in the payments industry. From my standpoint and experience and background, I've been about now, I think about 15 years in payments, starting with money transfers at Western Union, and then moving to MasterCard, where I worked on MasterCard Send, and from MasterCard to Earthport, which is the global payments. And now I'm with JPMorgan Chase, working on several payments products as well. My primary role is in real-time payments rollout in US, but I'm also overseeing the international wires, which is international payments, and transfers. Transfers is a domestic payments product, that's how we call it. Obviously, I'm looking at the trends both on the international side and on the domestic side, and also how this trend with real-time payments globally can finally become also an international trend. Obviously, there is a huge need on the international level for real-time payments, and there are a lot of fintechs which are trying to address it. And most of them would tell you, I have few countries or maybe few banks where I can deliver in real time, but the others will take 1 or 2 days or 1 or 3 days. So depending on the connection that they have. It is very difficult to have proprietary network with every single bank in the world. It's pretty much impossible. That's why generally how it works, the fintechs are establishing connection with the local networks to reach all of those banks, right? And in some cases, the local network is ACH-like or RTGS-like, and in some cases, it could be or must be as real-time payment or faster payment type of network. Now, in today's world, we have I believe over 50 real-time like networks domestically in different countries globally. Now, majority of them still are not open for cross-border movements. So they're not allowing to enter that network from other countries. However, there is a trend to open up. There is definitely a trend to open up and to start accepting international transactions. Some of the European networks looking into this, and US network is only in the beginning of looking into that, but I'm sure that it will happen very time soon. Talking about real-time payments network, I just want to bring up some valuable incremental benefits. If we look, obviously every real-time payments network in every country is slightly different. But if we look at US network, which is right now my focus, we have instant delivery and instant settlement, which is very unique. Some real-time payments network can give you instant messaging, and it looks like instant from consumer standpoint, but might be not real time on the back end in terms of settlement, which is hurting banks, and banks are less willing to roll it out and especially accept international transactions, right? So this network is truly real time for settlement and payment messaging. It settles transactions within 15 seconds, but usually it takes faster than 15 seconds. I can tell you by fact because I'm working with this. It has about 100K limit right now, but this limit will change over time. What is very important that it is truly 24/7, 365, meaning that you can send transaction at nighttime, you can send during the weekend or the holiday. So at any point of time when the bank branch is closed, you can actually send this transaction and it will go through within 15 seconds. And also very important moment, it has it's ISO-based network, ISO 20022. And ISO 20022 is an international standard that a lot of global networks are now trying to adopt. Not all of them are, of course, on that standards just yet, but it's a huge benefit to be on the standard. When you're on the standard, it will allow you for true interoperability, not only on your domestic level, but international level. And when we talk about real-time payments in US, talking to, let's say, faster payments in UK, ISO becomes a critical component here. There is no need to constantly translate and change messaging, ask for additional information, and etc., which is very costly, by the way, and also creates a lot of errors and reduces your straight-through process. So the ISO is being now adopted globally. Hopefully that will happen to true kind of emergence and ubiquity of real-time payments globally. That's number one benefit. Another benefit that ISO also has a very broad message set, and it allows for rich information exchange, meaning that you can attach whatever information you want, like a message to your loved one could be included in the message, or you could send potentially an invoice or a bill with the payment message. This is more for the business side. But again, business really struggling with reconciliation and information exchange, especially if it comes to international. International payables and receivables are a big pain point for businesses. So to be able to exchange information and the invoicing via actual payment instead of separate channel that needs to be reconciled, that's a huge benefit of this network. And in addition to this, it has a very high security features, encryption, etc. And it's only credit push. I think it's important to understand that it is only credit push transaction, because there is, especially on domestic level, ACH pool. An ACH pool is a highly risky transaction when money could be pulled out of your account when somebody has a number, has your account number, right? So the RTP is only push transaction, could be initiated by the sender of the payment. So all of those features, I would say, make the real-time payments network superior to others. And a lot of global networks, they have very similar features to the US one. And they also, a lot of them using ISO. So with that in mind, it will definitely open doors to the global expansion of this network. And by the way, I don't know if you are participating in Faster Payment Council. I'm a member of Faster Payment Council, and just yesterday and the day before, there was a fall meeting for this organization, and we were discussing, among other topics, we were also discussing the cross-border opportunity for faster payments and real-time payments. That was very interesting discussion, because obviously everybody understands how important it is and how many benefits it will bring to the whole world and US in particular. But of course, it will take a little bit of time to adopt, because it will take, we will have to look at the policies and the regulations, into compliance aspects. Also, settlement would have to be adjusted appropriately, and etc. And currently, a real-time payments network, if we look at US market, it is not yet 100% coverage. It's not a fully ubiquitous network. It has about 55% of coverage right now in US, which is great, take into consideration that it's still new and very early network. However, in a year or two, that's where it will get to the level, like I would say, of 90% or so, when the all benefits of this network could really be kind of taken advantage of types of companies and use cases. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Sophia. And we're discussing with Sophia how we're going to present this in IMTC World in November, so you can get a better feeling of what that means for the industry and how the industry can benefit for that. And you know that for years I tried to work very hard in the industry, understanding what is happening, so we can bridge those gaps and we can work those partnerships, especially those partnerships within banks and non-banks, which come and go, you know, how the risking impacts companies here and there, and then but it's so interesting because it's just a big puzzle, you know, and innovations bring this like Sophia was showing. Faster payments brings institutions together to work for something, like, you know, like the mobile money in Africa, getting this interoperability so they can work together. So, you know, all the networks, we kind of working on that. I even discussing with traditional agents and how they can move into the digital space and keep on serving their customers even face to face, and how they can be part of this digital world that the whole financial sector is building, and you know, all the fintechs that take part of that. So thank you, Sophia. We will make an issue to discuss this in IMTC world and how this plays a part for the industry. Because of, you know, you worked with non-banks before, now you work with a bank, and you know, your work that you did with Earthport, you have all those perspectives within you, which is great.
One thing I wanted to mention, Hugo, is that it's also been discussed actually in Faster Payments Council that the real-time payments network by itself, it might be good, but it actually requires a lot of help from fintechs. There's a lot of opportunity for fintechs to step in. There are gaps that need to be filled. For example, there is a need for different types of directories to be created, whether it is a personal directory, or business, or bill payment directory. There is a need for special real-time risk assessment, which needs to be really optimized and based on biometrics and artificial intelligence, etc. There is a need for OFAC screening implementation in a very fast and most productive way. Right now, it takes really time. There is also a need for account pre-verification, so getting the information on the account prior to sending to avoid the errors, as well as verification of the name of the receiving end. And the list is long. I will not go through the whole list, it's just some examples. Yeah. But I want to say that fintechs are essential for really helping the success of those real-time payments networks.
Yes, and there's always who makes the connection between cash and digital. There's always that space that even though, yes, even with COVID, cash can be decreasing in the use of cash, but there's always there a connection between how people, like, you know, move value, you know, move money, even with cryptocurrencies now, and the connection between crypto and the traditional sector, and the I mean, all of those connections are being realized, and I think the opportunities are there, because at the end somebody has to get to the consumer, and the consumer kind of chooses, you know, and sometimes we can direct what the consumer can chooses, but sometimes they just choose it. It says, oh my goodness, why they like that? Sometimes we don't even know. So thank you very much, Olivia. We're with you. Tell us a little bit about what we have seen this year in the entries. Give us a flavor of the categories and the entries that we've seen, and I was telling Olivia, don't make any judgments. Which of the entrants you as an organizer feel that are more inclined to be some of our potential winners, but just give us a flavor. Give us a flavor of where we are with the awards for this year.
Sure. I did want to announce which categories and which entries are going to be in each category. That's something that we do as kind of the organizers. So when you enter into the RemTECH Awards, you get to have a main category, and then you also get a secondary category. And we try to honor people's main categories as much as possible, and then, you know, just to have a balanced contest for each category. So yeah, I mean, let me just take a step back and talk about the categories for a sec, because there are two categories that are new for this year that we don't normally do. We have our typical ones, which are B2B solution, compliance innovation, end user experience, remittance synergies, remittance for social impact. And we retired the technology award because we realized it's RemTECH. Everyone's in technology, you know, so instead we replaced with innovation in time of crisis. We didn't want to make it just COVID specific, but we realized, you know, just in general, it's a very uncertain world. And I think what some of the lessons that you can see in some of the innovations actually is the ones that seem to have survived have a diverse way to getting to the consumer. you know, so it's not necessarily one is better than the other. Maybe one is better for COVID, but in the future, maybe a different one will be better. So kind of having a strategy for resiliency and contingency plans and how to be adaptable was something we wanted to highlight. And actually, I'll highlight one: Value mobile wallet and cash in, cash out. Value, they've been great. They enter in the RemTech Awards every year, and they always seem to be innovating, based in Malaysia. And they realized their cash in, cash out system was a bit more resilient during COVID because they were open in the supermarkets. And in Malaysia, money transfer companies were not seen as essential, but the supermarkets were. And so they were able, because of their partnerships with supermarkets, still be able to give people a way to send their money until some of the restrictions were lifted. And, you know, that's not something they could have foreseen, or like why they had the partnership with the supermarkets, but ended up being something that really saved both their business and also their consumers that really needed to send money. And then another one we had was innovation for Africa. So we originally—
I want to say something, Olivia, just a comment. With Leon Isaacs, and we participated in the Remittance Community Task Force, which is a work that has been led by IFAD, Pedro Vasconcelos and his team, and just making sure that that every government in the world, every country will declare, you know, the remittance services essential, so they could stay open. And that was achieved in a lot of places. Some places there were hiccups because, for example, in Spain, some of the agents were closed by local police because they used to be calling centers. And then, you know, if an association had to intervene and say, hey, look, no, this is an essential businesses. It has proven to be very interesting because in places where associations are strong, they were able to react faster to this, like in the US with the MSBA, in England with the AUKPI, etc. So it's interesting in that time how associations are essential in this industry, and that's why we should support, you know, these associations, because in this pandemic crisis, they were able to step in and just make those services essential, and keep them open, you know, like supermarkets, like Olivia said, or others. So like in Malaysia, there was that problem there, and there's many other places. I just wanted to mention that.
There are some places where banking stopped. You know, there were parts of the world where the Middle East, it's not even these money, they're just banks were closed. If you wanted to get food, you had to call the military to get, like, there were some places that really shut down. So, but yeah, that's incredible. They did that worldwide. I mean, a lot of those places open up more now, but I think there was kind of at the beginning when no one knew how bad this was going to be.
And I just wanted to mention the work that the Remittance Community Task Force has done on that is great, and I know Leon is listening today, so I really commend his work. We just try to collaborate really with him and the industry, and it's interesting because that has brought the industry together in many ways, you know, because this COVID crisis has impacted everybody, big and small, any country. I mean, it's probably one of those first crisis that is worldwide, you know, not even the wars were like worldwide, even if we call it First World War, Second World. This is a truly international thing that affected every corner of the world. So it is, and remittances have been resilient, and innovation has kicked off in a way, because when we confronted with crisis, that's what we do as humans, you know. We challenge ourselves. We've done it internally in IMTC and the Platinum Network. Yeah, okay, what do we do? I mean, we have to reinvent ourselves in one way or another. and I think that we will come out stronger because of innovation, because we are coming out. So this innovation in time of crisis that Olivia was explaining is a little bit of that, is how we face the unforeseen. You know, I think that that COVID has taught us that. You know, this crisis has taught us that we cannot take everything for granted. We have to be prepared for many things, and we've seen it through earthquakes in Nepal, in Haiti, how remittances played a role in building up, and tsunamis, etc. And you know, global warming is presenting all types of challenges and other things. So let's go on with the second one this year, innovation for Africa. Olivia, I just wanted to mention that before we moved into that category.
Sure, yeah. I think we should keep the category for next year even. I'm sure a lot of people who are in the middle of the crisis just didn't even get a chance to enter, and some of these things you're talking about. Innovation for Africa. So yeah, we were originally going to do the RemTECH Awards in Nairobi, Kenya, and it was going to be a partnership with the African Union. And so we really want to highlight innovation for Africa. But you know, Africa is in general just, I mean, I think one of the reasons why they're choosing it as a location, there's a lot happening there. And I think regardless of where we're doing the awards, it's definitely an area worth focusing on if we're talking about remittance innovation and how much there's room for growth there. You know, like last year, we had M-Pesa, who's been obviously, you really can't talk about fintech without M-Pesa in Africa, and how they've been really incorporating into the international space, not just in their domestic money transfers and getting people essentially banked, how that can connect into the international world. And I'm excited to see, you know, interoperability as a service is by TerraPay, actually, I didn't like that. TerraPay is another one that's working on that. That seems to be a big part of some of the hurdles in Africa, where there's a lot of competition and people like to own certain aspects of the market. And unfortunately, there's good parts to the consumer in that they're getting banked in the first place, but in terms of interoperability, consumers want to be able to go, you know, have choice. And so you're seeing kind of that develop in terms of ways, different technologies, and, you know, working with the regulators in those countries to be able to bring more of that. So we're seeing that in innovation for Africa. I will also highlight Baluo, Cash to Goods. I think is one that's really cool. They've really worked on the last mile of sending bill pay into Africa. So as I've talked about in other RemTECH presentations and just innovation and remittances, you know, bill pay, I feel like everybody's talking about it. It's, you know, solving one of the lifelong issues with remitters. Is my money going to get, you know, spent where we intended it to spend when I send that remittance? And the thing is, I think a lot of that's possible because of the digitization, right? So that we can pay our bills digitally and have that directly. The thing is, in parts of Africa, especially, you know, those digitizations are a bit more cumbersome. They're maybe not everybody has a way to receive payments digitally, and especially when it comes to like groceries, you know, they're not just connected to Amazon Direct or Whole Foods. And they're finding a way to actually, as they say, digitize a bag of rice and make it so that you can make sure that when you send your money abroad, that your family's getting fed and that they have groceries, and that the money is being spent appropriately.
Yes, and look, I look at all these entries and the names and you know, honestly, I feel so happy and proud. I mean, just looking, for example, in compliance innovation, the government of Mexico participating. I mean, how good is that? I mean, for us, it's just great. And the diversity of the entities.
Is
Sorry?
restructuring their data so that it's easier for the companies they work with the financial institutions they work with, to do their KYC on them, and use a technology solution to help with some of the compliance issues, which I would love to see that more in the US, to be honest. You know, some of these things that the regulators are having so much concern about, the compliance, you know, we're in an age of technology. I think if COVID proved anything, like, we need to digitize a lot more of this stuff. So if they have a trust issue, knowing where the money is and where it's going, I think there is roles for, I think, the regulator to partner with technology solutions instead of just having the industry figure it out and then, you know, not having a clear format on what meets their needs and things like that. And that's happening in Mexico.
Yes. Now we do have some questions coming, but before we get to that, Olivia, just give us a sense of what's happening. What is the process from here on with the RemTech Awards? So we have the entries. The entries, they have been closed. We're not accepting more entries right now, correct?
Even the people who are really nice to me, I have to say no. So no more.
No. We have to close. So we're closed now. Now, what comes next from now to November? Give us a glimpse of what comes from now to November.
So we just decided which entries go in which category, and so that means I now hand it off to our lovely RemTech team to put it into our RemTech ballot for our 9 judges to review based off of a number of criteria, and pretty much be able to choose who the winners will be for each of these categories. From there, we may have some more maybe similar conversations like this to be determined, but we will definitely have at IMTC World 3 days. You're giving us 3 days of RemTech Awards. So each day, so for day 1, we're going to have a presentation. Day 1 and day 2 will actually span over all the entries and get everyone familiar a bit more with each of these. I just gave you some highlights. I'm going to be asking actually all the entries to submit a video, very short video, so that they can pretty much make their pitch for you know, what their innovation is about. Yeah, and then we will actually have the ceremony where we will announce who the actual winner is. We are playing with some interesting formats for that. We're going to really try to make it like a digital award ceremony in terms of we're going to have some interesting graphics and be able to highlight, you know, the different entries and give a bit more anticipation on who's going to win. So it's a little bit different format. People have paid attention in the past of RemTech. We usually actually announce the winners for each category earlier, and then we do an industry choice. But we thought for this year we were going to try something different and leave the suspense for IMTC World on who the actual winner for each category is. Yeah,
lots of creativity there. You know, so I'm just glad. I'm just glad and happy. Did you have? I think you have a slide on the judges. Who are these nice 9 judges who will be joining you? Can you name them? Okay. All right. So we have Patrice Kiro, our colleague from Equity Bank. We have Sandra Yao from Thunes. Ronald Mazursky from Pagility. We already heard from Nabil. Daniel Weber from FXC Intelligence, a data company for the industry. We have Yelena Reznikova from Brex, our dear friend Leon Isaacs from DMA, Sophia, who still we heard from her, and Luis Beneites. There's a misspelling there. Luis Beneites from PTKS in Spain. Those are our judges. We missing one? No, I think that's all. 5 and 4, 9. So these 9 judges will receive they go into the RemTech page and they just rate by a number of categories. They rate each entry, and we just add up the numbers, and those are the winners. We give ourselves a little bit of allowance to name some mentions. If the judges, one says, you know, this might not be a winner, but we want to highlight this issue because we think it's important because of this and this and that. So we allow ourselves to yes, have the winners per category, but also give ourselves some room to highlight some of the entries that we think, wow, this is interesting. It should be highlighted for one reason or the other. So it's going to be really exciting. We have a question that I'm going to ask is. It says, is the world ready for digital transformation? Yes. I mean, I think digital transformation is there. The poll just came out. We can answer and we can discuss it. The host and the panelists cannot vote, so we cannot vote, but all the participants can, and just comment. So while we see the results, we're going to pop up in a little while. Our Fernando, our host, is working on this. What do we have to say about this, Sophia? Are we ready? Are we ready? Have we been ready? What really ready means? I mean, it's a little bit of an open-ended question, but what do you have to say, Sophia?
Well, I think we are ready. I think, in fact, the world is always ready for innovation because there is an innovation at every point of stage, right? The innovation is different today or yesterday or tomorrow, but it's always happening. And today, especially, we have kind of our kicking about to facilitate innovation with the COVID environment. I would say the situation, while it's obviously very sad overall global situation, however, it's definitely encouraged innovation, especially in the payments industry. The need of instant payment, the need of clarity in the payment, security became much bigger now than before. And a lot of payment market participants globally, they are responding to this. And also they're responding much faster than they normally would. Because normally they would wait for the prioritization or for the extra budget or whatever. Now, globally, every payment service provider kind of took it as a must happen. And they started implementing a lot of new tools, a lot of innovation in the market to optimize the payment flows globally to address this painful situation.
You know, I've been writing a course which is going to be in the Peanut platform on fintech, and it's just a view of fintech for the industry, for the money transfer industry to see what is fintech, and you know, it's just that I wanted to go deeper into my research on it. So I built a course out of my own research in innovation and how fintech is transforming everything. And it is interesting because digital transformation has been with us for many years. So I make fun of how fast the fax transformed the money transfer industry, and of course for very young startups right now who are working with cryptocurrencies and blockchain, it is a fax, yes. But even with Western Union coming with the stock ticker in, I mean that was a technological innovation that made a lot of waves. So we've been in this digital transformation for a long time. It is, of course, most of you who are here today, and Olivia and Sophia. So I've been and older than you guys. So I do remember just technology changing my life in the little steps, even TV, and it can be fun just to talk about it sometimes. But you know, we've been technology has been transforming our lives forever. And in some issues, it become a gender, not a gender, age thing. You know, when I have problems with my phone and I have to call my son or my daughter, and they just go, you know, hey, dad, you know, it's simple. Okay, run me through it, you know? So transformation is there. It starts someplace and then moves on and then reaches. And this is what we're trying to do with the RemTECH Awards, just highlight them. And really, Olivia does a great job in that. Okay, this is cool. And you know, when he applies that cool judgment in something, is, oh my goodness, this is cool. This is interesting because of this and that. So that's what I have to say. I have another question. I don't know if we have the poll results already, Fernando, but I can have one question here is, and this is for Olivia, really. Can one company be awarded for 2 different categories?
One company awarded for 2 different categories. Yes, if they had 2 entries. So we've had that before where a company will have multiple entries. They did multiple innovations, and different innovation makes more sense for different categories. So yeah.
And I think that we've done also when it's the same innovation, but seen from 2 different angles.
You can get a mention. You're right. You can also get a mention.
Yes. So, and I say, if one of the entries right now think that they want to be also looked at in the different category, I think they just write Olivia and we'll discuss it. We have, of course, like any contest, we like to be very transparent so that we have our rules set up. But we, you know, we allow ourselves some flexibility just because there's always exceptions. And look, every year we learn something different, and our rules have evolved in a way. Even when even our judges have said, yeah, but what about this? You know, what about that? So it is like anything in this world. We have been evolving with as issues come, and we are not afraid of that. I mean, we need to be we need to change with as we learn things. So any of the entries, if they want us to look at things from their perspective, sometimes we can do it. Sometimes we just learn for the future.
Completely.
Let me see if there's any more questions. For the next year's participation on the RemTECH Awards, can a project that is still not released participate? Olivia.
Yes, we do celebrate ideas as well. So in one of the selections that you can put into the entry is what stage it's in, if it's a pilot situation or if it's in progress. I will say, you know, historically looking, I do think the ones that have at least some traction, some demonstration of what you've done, fare better in the competition, but they are welcome.
Judges' eyes, in the judges' eyes, yes, they fare better, but yes, Olivia's quite right. Any ideas? We said, you know, you're a student, you're doing a master's, you come up with some sense of clarity in what you want to do. Please just send us, talk to us even before you send the entry if you want to. But we are celebrating ideas, projects, blueprints of things that you think they're good. I think our time is up. I don't know, Fernando, if you want to come in.
Thank you, Hugo, Olivia, Sofia, and Nabil. We're ready to share the results. Actually, 73% said yes, while 27% said no. Again, thank you so much. As Olivia said, all nominees and winners are gonna be announced at our IMTC 2020 coming up in November 16th through November 19th. So please stay tuned. We can wait to share more exciting news about this. As a sneak peek, we have an amazing agenda. We have a virtual trade fair and big, big surprises. Please also remember that you can become one of us. You can be part of our community at theplatinum.net, where we'll be building great things together, and we want to welcome you. Thank you so much, and we will see you in our next virtual roundtable series.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you, Olivia. Nice seeing you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.